My next guest was recently named the Secondary School Teacher of the Year, and in an impassioned acceptance speech, she spoke of the injustices that exist within the school system and the fears she has for the future of her job. Before we meet Mayo teacher Evelyn O'Connor, let's first take a look at a clip from her emotional acceptance speech.
I should be putting every ounce of my energy, my passion, and my enthusiasm into my teaching and your learning next year. Instead, I'll be battling with the department, trying to force them to recognise that I am needed in this school. I'll be distracted from doing my best for my students by the fear that someone else will be parachuted into my job, and by the fear that I will have to consider emigrating to support my family and to continue doing the job that I love. And for this, I apologise. You, the students, deserve better.
I'm now joined by Evelyn, who's an English teacher at Mount St Michael's Secondary School in Claremorris in County Mayo. Evelyn, you're very welcome, and as I said, a very impassioned and emotional speech there at your acceptance. Just tell me a little bit first how you became the Secondary School Teacher of the Year.
So ABC Bookshop have decided to run this award, and they looked for nominations, so anyone could nominate a teacher who they felt kind of went above and beyond the call of duty.
That's the students and the parents,
It could have been students or parents or whoever. So I was lucky enough that I had students nominate me, and I think that what made my situation particularly interesting was that some of the people who nominated me are people that I teach in our school in Mount St Michael in Claremorris, and some of the people who nominated me have never met me before, but I have a website, leavingcertenglish.net, so a lot of them have been using the website because it's free to use for whoever needs it. Not everyone in this country can afford grinds. So they nominated me as well because they just felt that it was great to have this resource online that helped them, I guess, revise, and if they had any questions they could ask, and if I had time, I'd email them back and whatever. So
you are a temporary teacher.
Yeah. And
have you a job lined up now for next September?
Yeah, I have a contract, but every year your contract...
But again, just for 1 year?
It's just for 1 year, yeah. And it's amazing, in this country there's a perception that teachers are permanent and they have a permanent job for life, and the truth, it couldn't be further from the truth. In Ireland, 27% of teachers in secondary level are on temporary contracts, and the average in the OECD is 15%. So we're doing something, significantly different to other countries. And then when you add in the people who are now getting CIDs, which is contracts of indefinite duration, a lot of them are getting them for part-time hours. So 1 in 3 teachers is pretty much in a very difficult, uncertain position.
And what do you think the effect on the students that you're teaching is of having kind of a teacher that they mightn't have again the next year or even at the end of the year?
I suppose sometimes people try and apply business practices to schools, and they say, you should do things in the public sector the way you do things in the private sector. But it fundamentally misunderstands the nature of a school. A school is a community. So when my students say to me, "Will we have you next year, miss?" I kind of fudge my answer and say, "Oh, we'll see, hopefully." But a lot of teachers are in that position. And then if you're a student, you don't want your child to say, "Oh, I had 5 teachers in 6 years for this subject. I teach English." And I'm really passionate about the idea that you get to know your students and you draw out, their personal experiences, and you get them to put that in writing. And that applies to teachers across all subject areas. And the other thing is that as a teacher, you want to become part of the community, you want to embed yourself in the school. Maybe there are things that you do year on year. So I do a short story competition every year.
So you're doing extracurricular activities in the community.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the salary scale for teachers like you who don't get permanent jobs. Are you paid, for example, during the summer? Are you paid during the Christmas holidays? That sort of thing.
It very, very much depends on the contract that you get. So some people will get a 1-year fixed term contract, and then they will get paid during their holidays and whatever. Some people will get, obviously, maternity leaves and things like that, you just get paid for whatever you do. But the thing they're trying to introduce, the thing they're introducing a lot, is you're paid in an hourly rate. So you also get this really unhealthy situation in schools where teachers feel that they're competing with each other for hours. And really, a school is a healthy place to be when you've got collaboration and communication and the staff are working together as a team.
There's a sort of tension as to who's going to get the extra hours.
A real tension and a horrible situation where people feel like they're competing with each other. And, you know, every year if you're waiting in the summer and you're wondering what's going to happen, should I start looking for jobs? I saw on educationpost.ie they had 27,000 teachers had been looking for work since the 1st of June 2011. You know, you're talking about between 15 and 20,000 teachers in this position every year.
But the government hasn't really reduced the pupil, you know, the pupil-teacher ratio hasn't increased. I mean, I know in your speech...
They would love us to believe that they haven't cut the pupil-teacher ratio, and it's just, it's been so cleverly done. The way schools operated was that they had a quota. If you have this number of students, you have this number of teachers. But they recognised as well that you couldn't just cut the line there and say that's it. So they gave you a certain number of hours for people with special needs. They gave you a certain number of hours for non-nationals who needed language support. And those two things are legally required under European law. You have to help the most vulnerable. And so you should. The guidance...
So they were assets to the school.
Absolutely,
teachers,
and so vital, because in Ireland we have a 92% school completion rate. That's one of the highest in the world. Other people are looking at us and saying, how do you manage to get 92% of the population to complete school? That's amazing. You know, there are other positive things about our education system. At third level, we've got almost a 50% third level completion. The OECD average is 37%. So we've got all of these positive things. But what the government are doing now is they're just saying, well, there is no money, so cut. And they're not looking at... I dread to think when my daughter starts secondary school in 8 years' time, what she's going to walk into. We're not going to see it straight away, although I would say if there's, you know, parents out there will say, yes, there's no S&A available for my child anymore, my daughter or my son can't do accounting, can't do physics, can't do applied maths, can't do all of these subjects because they're not being offered anymore. And it's just... I think education is the thing that we have going for us.
Well, Evelyn,
as a nation.
I have to say, please don't consider emigrating. We need somebody with your passion and skill. And I'm beginning to think, having been in politics myself, we probably need you in politics too to make this case. Thank you very much for sharing your story with us. And congratulations again on being the Secondary School Teacher of the Year. Thank you for being with us. If you'd like to get in touch with us on the show or you have a story you'd like to tell us, you can contact our Facebook page or email midweek@tv3.ie. Good night.